Hey y'all, Southern Style Gaming here, and just so y'all know, I am down with a bit of a cold, so my voice is probably going to sound pretty weird in this video. But either way, today I am talking about one of the most controversial, often perceived as one of the worst Treyarch Zombies maps, and that's TranZit. Now, I actually kind of have a soft spot for this map. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm objectively aware that this map is garbage. But I don't know, there's just something about it that I can really, I don't know if appreciate is the right word, but I really like it. It's actually, believe it or not, in my top 10, but again, objectively aware that it's bad. However, I'm also aware that there are a few things that if just these few things would be done to this map, I actually think that it would go from being one of the worst to one of the best. And these are, by all accounts, not huge improvements. You know, like, you wouldn't need to do, well, I guess in a couple cases you would need to do kind of a lot. But, honestly, I think if you could change any three of these, like, it would go from being a bad map to at least a really good one, like a higher B, lower A tier map, by just doing two or three of these things. So today I'm going to talk about the top 5 things that you could do to improve TranZit. Now, at the number 5 spot, the first thing I think that they could improve would be the mystery box. Now, this is obviously quite a point of contention because TranZit is a huge map. And I know this would be a bit unprecedented, but I honestly think this map needs 2 mystery boxes. Like, there's no way around this. It needs 2 mystery boxes. Because the first one being at the diner, that is like one of the most inconvenient places. Like, I get it's not inconvenient for your first run around the map, but I do think it's not a great spot to have to come back to after you've turned on power, after you've done like, if you're in a solo game, the box being at diner really sucks. Like, if you're in a co-op game, I don't think it's really that bad. But if you're in a solo game, the map being at diner is just terrible. So I think you should have one at diner for your first run, and then you should have one at town. Now, what I think should happen is you should have 2 different sort of like cycles of mystery boxes. So the first box would swap between diner, the bus stop, and not. And then you'd have a second box that cycles between power, farm, and town. Now, it would start out in town, but it would cycle between the other 2. And then the one at the diner would cycle between not and the bus depot as well. So I think this is a pretty simple fix. You just add one more box to the equation. It's really not a big deal. Like, it's something that I think would be very simple, but would very much improve the map. Okay, so I'm gonna do 4 and 3 together. 1, because they're closely related, and 2, because I just don't feel like getting footage for the jet gun. I'm sorry, but it's too much of a hassle. And the number 4, as I just said, is the jet gun, and the number 3 spot is the buildable system. Now, I think the buildable system is pretty obvious. Like, I think you just make it the same as the buildable system in the Jason Blundell maps. Like, that's a pretty easy fix, in my opinion at least. Like, you pick up all the parts at once. You don't have to swap parts. And I think you should at least be able to carry 2 buildables at a time. And I don't think you should have to have the turbine to use every other buildable. Like, I think, I don't know, maybe for a balancing thing that would work, but the other buildables in TranZit are kind of garbage. So I think those buildables, 1, need to be improved. And 2, the jet gun, okay, maybe the jet gun should still be a buildable, but 1, don't have the parts anywhere near as spread out as they are. Like, I'm sorry, but nobody wants to go out to that cabin. And 2, make it to where the stupid thing doesn't break. And once you actually build the thing, it takes up a weapon slot. Don't turn it into another buildable slot. Like, just put it down as a weapon slot, like the Sliquifier, like all the weapons, like the KT4 in Black Ops 3. Like, it's really, really not that hard. So, in my opinion, this is another pretty easy fix. Okay, so the number two thing, the second most important thing I think to fix here is the bus. Now, I've heard that it leaves at like 90-second intervals. I don't think this is true. I think it is honestly kind of randomized. Like, I don't think it's completely. Like, I do think there's constraints because I don't think it's going to stay somewhere for less than a minute. And I don't think it's going to stay somewhere any more than 4 minutes. But I seem to have perceived the bus staying in one spot for longer than 90 seconds. But that's really neither here nor there, because I don't think it needs to leave on time intervals anyway. I think what you should have is a bus fare. So let's say you stop in a certain location. So you stop at the diner, you should be able to pay 500 points to go from diner to the farm. Or, alternatively, you could pay an extra 250 points to skip locations. So, like, if you want to go straight from the diner to, say, the power station, because the farm is probably completely useless on your first run anyway. Honestly, it's mostly useless after that as well, but double tap. Let's say you want to skip the farm and go straight to power station, you pay an extra 250 points to do so. So, I think that's a pretty simple fix. Yeah, come to think of it, actually all these seem like pretty simple fixes, except for the number one spot. I'll give that one. It'll be a bit more difficult, but yeah. With that said, bus fare. Okay, so at the number one spot, obvious point is obviously obvious. Pack-a-Punch. Pack-a-Punch sucks in this map. Like, why is this Pack-a-Punch? Why does it even exist? So, in the current system, you have to leave a turbine at power station and then run to town. Let's be real, you're not taking the bus. You're probably going to be running to town. So, now there's a few problems with this, of course. For one, you've got the issue that the turbine breaks and you get to the town and the door's not even open. And secondly, the fact that you have to go down into that little place, and if you're after like round 12, you're gonna have to basically camp out in there and wait for the round to end to build the stupid thing, which I think is a completely ridiculous idea. So what I think you should do is take the Pack-a-Punch and put it at knocked. Now, this might sound a little crazy at first, but hear me out. What I think should happen is the cornfield, where you get to knocked, should be kind of like the maze in Buried. Now, I think the entire cornfield should have the fog lifted off of it so you're not dealing with the denizens while you're, running through this maze. But I think the cornfield should change. So, just like Buried, I think that you should have to go through this maze to get out to Knocked to get to the Pack-a-Punch. Now, if they still want to make it a buildable, I'm not completely happy with that, but I mean, it's fine at that point, because Knocked is a little more open. It's not like that little thing under the town where you basically have to camp. But still, I think that this is a far superior option to what we have in TranZit now. So, yeah, those are my top 5 TranZit fixes. I think they're actually all pretty simple. I know I said at the beginning that I thought a couple of them would be difficult, but thinking about it now, really, other than maybe the Pack-a-Punch, I think they'd all be pretty easy to implement. So, yeah, I think that's all I got for y'all. So, with that said, Thank y'all for watching, and God bless, and have a great day.